how to start a food truck business in Oklahoma. So if you're looking to create a mobile food business and it is going to be a food truck, this is going to run down the permits and licenses that you will be looking for in order for you to get a food truck business up and running in Oklahoma. We're going to dive into those right now, guys. All right, so welcome back to Food Truck Freaks. We are YouTube's premier food truck entrepreneur channel. We have just launched this brand new channel, giving you all actionable information on our videos, super easy to digest, understand, and move on and move forward with your food truck business. So we are going to dive into specifically some of the licenses and inspections that you will be needing in the state of Oklahoma in order for you to open a food truck business. So let's jump right into it. And of course, if this is your first video, welcome to Food Truck Freaks. Definitely check out our other food entrepreneur channels. We've got 3 other fantastic food entrepreneur channels here on YouTube. Find out all those links down below in the description, and additional resources, and even a podcast that we have up and running as well. So number 1, so you're going to need to get an EIN. So when you want to launch a food truck in Oklahoma, well, the first thing you're definitely going to need to get is an employer identification number. It's actually called an EIN. The IRS uses your EIN to identify your business and collect taxes from you and your employees. And of course, a food truck business is like any other business that you will need to have an EIN. Now, it doesn't cost anything. Actually, that's one of the good things about an EIN, is that it's one of the few things that you can apply for that don't cost you anything. You do need to go to the IRS website and apply for that. And I believe it's almost instantaneous. It's actually going to give you your EIN once you fill out all the information and they get it up and running. So that is something that's actually free and it doesn't cost you anything. All right, next up, you need to get, of course, a business license specifically for your food truck. Now, food truck business license, every food truck must obtain a business license, of course. Along with the license cost, you may be charged a percentage of your total sales or a yearly fee, depending upon the actual city and the state. Now, this can vary in Oklahoma based upon also the city in Oklahoma that you're going to be operating in. So find out specifically from your city what might else be needed on top of your business license in regards to that specific type of license or permit. Now, number 3, you're going to need a valid driver's license. Now, of course, you're probably thinking to yourself, that's a no-brainer, Damien. I know that I need a license. You can't drive a food truck around. Well, you need to find out specifically from, again, the city you're in, if you're going to need to get a commercial truck license. Now, in some cases, driver's license, your normal driver's license will not cut it. You actually need to make sure that you get a food truck business driver's license, which is slightly different because depending upon the size and the weight of many trucks in general, when they're commercial vehicles, you may have to obtain a certain type of letter license, whether it's a Class B or Class C and so on. So find out specifically what you would need as far as your city in the state of Oklahoma for the type of license in order to operate your food truck legally. It doesn't necessarily allow you to use your regular car license that you may already have. Now, a little side note, make sure that anyone and everyone who is operating and driving your food truck has a valid license. There is a huge legal ramification if you've got an employee who has a license that's either expired or one that's not allowed to drive on the road, and they are using your food truck, and they're going to, let's say, meet you at an event, and you're not going to be driving it. Well, if anything happens, you, the actual food truck owner, are liable and potentially have legal ramifications for that. If they get pulled over, if they're speeding, if they cause an accident, and of course they don't have a valid license, your food truck business could be in a serious problem. Now, of course, if you're generating money and that's your bread and butter, that's where you're generating money to feed your family and, pay your bills. You need to ensure that everyone has a valid license and the right type of commercial license if needed. All right, next up, seller's permit. So in Oklahoma, you need to apply for a seller's permit. Now, food truck owners in some cities must apply for a seller's license, as it's known, which allows them to actually buy food and other ingredients at a wholesale price, but you don't pay taxes when you go through the checkout. So if you're operating this type of business, this is similar to the type of business we have. When I ran my bakery, and of course now with our food business online, you need to make sure that you're not doubling up on your taxation. Seller's permits allow you to go through like a Costco or a Sam's Club or any type of grocery store, wherever you're sourcing your vegetables, your proteins, all of your ingredients and such. You want to make sure that when you do go through the checkout, you're not going to be charged sales tax if your state actually has a food sales tax. Because if they do, then you're going to pay tax there. Then you're going to collect tax again when you sell it to the customer as a completed item or lunch or dinner through the window of your food truck. So keep that in mind, that you don't want to be doing taxation twice. All right, so next up, you've got a food handler's permit, or also known as a food safety certification course. Now, a food handler's permit is required in many cities all across the U.S. for food truck owners, and one or at least more of their employees must go through the process of taking this course. Now, the thing about this is that it's basically teaching you common sense, to be honest with you. As far as food preparation, the temperatures, holding temperatures, storing foods, refrigerating or freezing foods, sanitation practices, keeping your truck clean. There is a variety of bits of information that you need to know. And if you've got employees, it's great to have them know as well. And believe it or not, it's actually required in some cases for everybody to be on the same page and have that type of certification. So a food handler's permit and food safety certification, as it's known, potentially would be what you need as well. So check specifically again. This can vary slightly by city in the state of Oklahoma. Next up, health department permit. Now, of course, everyone knows that your truck will be inspected by your city or county's health department. Now, the reason why, by the way, I keep saying city or county is depending upon where your business is technically located. If it's in city limits or if it's in a certain county, it may fall outside of that. So be sure to check with that health department in your city or county to find out specifically what day and what time your truck can be inspected and what is the checklist, the specific health department checklist, what they're going to look for, what are they going to ask you. In many cases, obviously, you will not be able to operate your food truck business until you get signed off on that with the health department within that city or county. You got to make sure that you get the thumbs up before you open your doors. But they're going to be looking for cleanliness, sanitation. They're going to check how you're storing the food. You may also need to be required to have a commissary or commercial kitchen attached to your food truck business in Oklahoma. That's something you need to be sure to check on within the city as well. That many states require that. I know for sure California, Florida, some of the big states, Texas, New York, you need to be attached to a certain commissary or commercial kitchen. Now, what that means is that you're going to be using that as your base of location for cutting your ingredients, creating the ingredients for the day, making sure you're getting rid of your wastewater, getting clean water for the day, cleaning out your truck. Basically, opening and closing your business is going to be done at a commercial kitchen. And you need to show proof that you are actually attached to that one in particular. And normally it's by contract or it's some type of signed documentation from the owner or the one that's running that commissary kitchen that says, hey, Damien's food truck is, operating at our location and he does have everything up to date. All right, so next up, this is one that kind of catches some food truck owners at first when you're beginning. You may not realize it off guard, but it's actually a fire inspection. The fire department will have a tendency to want to do an inspection on food trucks, especially if you've got gas-operated or propane tanks on the truck and you're operating your ovens or your stoves or your ranges with gas or propane of some kind. Now, this also includes the wiring. Many of the obvious equipment pieces that you've got within the food truck itself have wiring systems, and there's a lot of wires and electricity that's going throughout the food truck itself. So you want to make sure that you're within code and that you're following guidelines for that as well. But also that they're actually functioning correctly and they're working right. Many times it's when you have an older truck or a used food truck, you begin to retrofit it and you gut it out and you bring in new equipment. You have a lot of brand new wiring. You have a lot of new lines for gas, propane, whatever it may be, even your generators, making sure that they're attached to the rear of the vehicle or within the vehicle itself, but it's following code. So fire inspections is something you'll definitely have to go through as well. All right, so next up, in Oklahoma, when you start your food truck, some lighter side things here. This is going to be trademarks. Now, if you've got a branded idea or logo for your product or the name of your company, you want to apply for your trademark, guys, believe it or not, as soon as possible. The Patent and Trademark Office in Washington actually takes 4 to 6 or even 8 months to either approve or deny a trademark. So before you get your food truck up and running, it might be one of the first things you really need to get going because it's going to take some time for you to get approval to use a logo or a certain trademark. Now, if you know for sure that the trademark you've created is customized, it has a specific name, a different font color of the text, the color, the size of the lettering, everything about that is actually considered trademarked. And you can definitely make sure that you apply for that. If you know for sure that you've obviously created that from scratch, you can operate your business, believe it or not, before getting approval on it. But just keep in mind that there may be somebody that has a logo similar to or like yours, and you don't want to get into legal ramifications for that. So lastly is your food truck insurance. Yes, you need to have a food truck insurance policy. Like any food business, you need to make sure that you've got at least the state of Oklahoma's minimum for your coverage. You can obviously get additional insurance policies. Of course, I'm not an insurance agent, so I'm not going to dive into policies and coverages, but I can tell you that you will definitely need to have the minimum coverage for your food truck, potential like food product liability. If you've got employees, you're going to have workers' compensation and so on and so on. So you're going to need additional policies for your vehicle as well, the equipment, theft, and damages and such. Make sure that you get the right food truck insurance. So all in all, that's a quick rundown of how to get a food truck up and running when it comes to permits, licenses, and such in the state of Oklahoma. And of course, if you've got any questions about launching your food truck in Oklahoma or any food truck questions, let us know in the comments down below this video, and we'll definitely create some content to get your questions answered. We love the feedback that we've gotten. We just launched this channel, so every subscriber is definitely appreciated. And again, check out our other channel. We have over 1,000 food entrepreneur videos, including additional food truck entrepreneur videos on marketing food online, which is our first up and running YouTube channel. It's got about 100,000 subscribers, and we appreciate all of them. So we see you guys on our next video.